Good afternoon and welcome to The Big Show. The Big Show is what we do every single day where we talk a little bit about a lot that's going on. And of course, hey, if one of you happens to be out at Nevillewood Country Club over the next few days, why don't you, call in or text in or email in or whatever and let us know that you did you see Aaron Rodgers out there? That's obviously the hottest rumor out there that Aaron Rodgers joined the Nevillewood Country Club. Oh boy. Here's the thing, that's really not how it works in many ways. From the standpoint of, I think it's always a thing of where you have to think about it this way. He's not going to sign up to be, a part of a country club before he signs his deal with the Steelers. And I think that's the biggest thing to me is that, it's a fun headline and all that stuff. But I feel like when you really look at the headline itself, I just think it's one of those things where it is going to be always easy for those kinds of rumors to happen, right? And I just think that people are so gullible nowadays in the age of the internet. I just think it's one of those things where every time you see something on the internet, it's amazing how many people say this has to be true because it's on the internet, right? So I just feel like it's going to be really, really difficult in many, many ways to try and come up with a bunch of different, stories that we've already heard from the standpoint of, what? I've actually heard that he's joining a bunch of country clubs. But the reality is that's just not necessarily the case. And of course it happens because people put it on the internet. It's all of a sudden it's true, and all that other good stuff. I don't think that people really understand. It's got to be a situation of where it's a fun story. It's one that lots of people seem to want to talk about. But at the end of the day, it's not necessarily one that is true. I mean, let's face it. It's not necessarily one that is true from the standpoint of, Aaron Rodgers is going to join a country club if he comes here, but he's probably not going to join a country club or buy a house even before he signs his contract with the Steelers. So, we'll see. Maybe he will ultimately end up at Nevillewood. Maybe he'll end up somewhere else. Maybe he won't even join a country club. Maybe he won't even sign with the Steelers. But it's amazing how like a story like that gets out one time and all of a sudden, it becomes viral. And, I was playing golf earlier today. It was funny. And a couple of people approached me and said, "Hey, is it true? Is this true? I mean, is he really going to go there?" I don't have time for it. Honestly, I think it's silly. I do. And so, we'll see what happens. I mean, the reality is, if you think about it, Aaron Rodgers has got 2 weeks basically to make his decision. Now, there's all kinds of rumors flying. He's going to make his decision this week, but he's got 2 weeks to really figure it out. Minicamp doesn't start. It really doesn't start until what is it? I'm not minicamp, OTAs. They don't start for like 2 more weeks. So he's got time to figure it out. And maybe he will, maybe he won't. Who knows? Actually, at this point, I don't even know that I necessarily care. Because it's so important, for me, just to focus on who are the guys that they have here. And I think that's the case when it comes to even the quarterback position. And I think that's really where, it comes down to me. We are in the slow point of the year. We're in the slow point of the year. And at the end of the day, People are going to try and create stories. They're going to try and create it, but it's just the way it is. So I think that, you know what, if you want to believe that and you want to believe that, you know, he did this, I don't know. But everybody that I know that has knowledge of the situation will tell you, you know, at least the people at Nevillewood are saying, he hasn't joined our club. Please stop, right? Please stop. He hasn't joined our club. It's not true. We'd love to have him, but he's not here. Now then, we are moving forward here. George Pickens. And again, it's the slow time of the year, so obviously we're going to talk about George Pickens for a minute. On his Instagram, allegedly, he was quoted as saying, "They the cheapest organization," meaning the Steelers. "Ain't no stacking year after year. They're going to let them NIGGAS go too soon as it's time." Lame-o, and someone had to explain to me that LMAO is laughing my ass off. What's the second O then? I think it's only one O. Anyway, so it really is, you know, silly. But then it surfaced that basically nobody really wanted Pickens, that the Cowboys were one of the few teams that came out and wanted to get him. And even the Steelers and Mike Tomlin basically felt like, and some of the key players in the organization felt like he was too toxic to keep around. Now, what I will say is this, okay? Pickens then came out, I don't know, a few hours later and said something. Well, I just feel like it's one of these situations where he says, "Hey, AI got the best of me," or "Stop with the AI," or whatever, right? Stop with the AI. Stop with all that stuff. I don't know. I just think that either way, it is who he is. He is who he is, and he's not going to change. And so to me, I feel like George Pickens is a guy whose time has basically come and gone. And I know that he had some things to say about the Steelers this weekend, but could we move on from him? I mean, there's nothing less interesting than a discussion about George Pickens at this point. And I certainly hope that he grows up, certainly hope that he matures, certainly hope that he becomes, you know, a guy who, you know, for Dallas or whoever else, that he becomes a guy that is actually functional. I hope that is the case. I do. But I just don't know. I really just don't know, honestly, if he ever will. But regardless, he doesn't play for the Steelers anymore. So why do we care? Honestly, why do we care? The reality is he doesn't play for the Steelers anymore. He's no longer a guy that's our problem. And since he's no longer our problem, it probably is good time to stop talking about him. And again, I guess he made some kind of crack about the facilities. Well, is that really that big of a surprise? I mean, one of the things we've known about the Steelers because of, you know, these player surveys and stuff is what? Their facilities are bad. The weight room is bad. The space inside the facility is bad. It needs to be updated, but it can't because they've got such a small space to try and do it. This is something that basically, you know, players have said for a couple of years now. So why is it any different now that it's basically George Pickens saying it? We know that's the case. It's a bad place it's not a great organization from the standpoint of They don't have state-of-the-art facilities. They don't have, all the things you need them to have if you want to be in a place where, you want to really, really compete with the best organizations out there. But it's not necessarily the Steelers' fault either. It isn't. It is not necessarily the Steelers' fault because they really don't have anywhere to go. That's the key. Like, if you've been in the facility, they share it with Pitt. The building is already built. And, they split it in half. And so it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me for people to criticize the Steelers because, for instance, if they wanted to make if they wanted to make a bigger and better weight room, right? If they wanted to do that, okay, then you know what they could do? Nothing. There's nowhere to go. That's what I would tell you, you need to know. So all of the people that are, ripping the Steelers for the facilities, and then even, George Pickens and some of these players who are talking about it after the fact, guess what? I think it's really important to remember that they are trying to, and, the rumors are, or whatever, if you believe rumors, and of course, after the Aaron Rodgers thing, I don't know if I believe anything, especially not from that guy. But my point is, if you believe the rumors, the reality is the Steelers are trying to build a new facility out near the airport somewhere. And if they're able, sort of like the Penguins having a facility up in Cranberry, and if they're able to do that, I guarantee it'll be state of the art. I guarantee it'll be, one of the best in the NFL. I guarantee it'll have all the bells and whistles that players want. I guarantee nobody will be talking about it again. But again, if you look at the building they're in right now, they've got to figure out how to get more space, and you can't. On the left side of the building is a river and a road. There's no place to go. On the right side of the building is, I think it's the FBI building or something, but there's, basically a fence line, and then there's a whole industrial complex. There's nowhere to go that way. I mean, I guess if you really wanted to find a way to do it, you could probably, add a facility into the indoor facility maybe, but probably not because there's nowhere to go there. You'd have to shrink the field inside there. And I think that's really, to me, honestly, that is really, to me, why the whole facilities thing falls on deaf ears. I mean, I don't think it's the same thing as, Bob Nutting, for instance, not spending money. I just think there's a practicality to it. And the practicality is I just don't know where they can go. I've been down there a million times. And so if the weight room's too small and the training room's too small and all this other stuff, if you think about it like this, if the building is here, okay, this is the building, they have this. And if they try to knock this wall out, guess what? Pitt is on this side. There's nowhere to go. And it's been clear the last 4 or 5 years to anybody that's paid attention that either Pitt is going to have to, I guess they'll figure out some sort of arrangement to, buy the Steelers out or vice versa. But the time for those two teams to coexist is long past. Long past. It's not going to happen. It can't happen for the long term. It worked when it first happened. And I got to think about it, but when it first happened, I'm not sure why they didn't have the foresight to make the building bigger. I know they wanted to have 4 fields behind it, and I understand that, but I just don't understand why they weren't more aggressive, at least, in trying to make the building bigger when it opened. They had to know at some point they would outgrow it. And at some point, all of that place, on the right side and everything else around the facility was going to grow into an industrial complex. I just think that's really what it comes down to. And the best is, when George Pickens talks about AI and, this was basically saying I was misquoted on my own Instagram. I was misquoted. I mean, that's kind of silly to me. But however, whatever. The reality is, it's going to be very, very interesting, to see how he handles it in Dallas and how Dallas handles him. My guess is it's probably going to be an issue. My guess is it's probably not going to work out right or good. But maybe it'll be like Antonio Brown when he went to Tampa and they won a Super Bowl. And then he lost his mind again. I don't know. I'm just telling you, I think it is really ridiculous. And I do think the other part of it is all of this discussion about facilities is stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Because I don't think there's a lot of things you can criticize the Steelers about. But one of them is not their facility. Because there's not a ton really that they could have done differently or would do differently. That's the thing I would tell you. There just isn't. And so I feel like that's really where you have to look at it from that standpoint, okay? It's one of those things where sometimes you got to give the benefit of the doubt or a little bit of a pass. And I think in this case, that's what you have to do. Because I think the Steelers are doing the best they can possibly do. And I think that's where they're at. So I feel like, we have to figure that out from, if we're going to be, right, and we're going to do it right, that's where you have to really look at it in so many ways. So let's figure that out and go from there. Now, I got a kick out of the fact that there was a mini camp this weekend. And let me just say this, rookie mini camp. Okay, fine. You can only observe what you have to observe. But on a different note, just real quickly, if you want to know why nobody wanted to draft Shedeur Sanders, have you seen the reaction to him or whatever else on social media and among media guys this weekend? I mean, what's the other guy? Dylan Gabriel threw an interception. I must have seen it about 15 times from 15 different media guys who said, well, could you imagine if Shedeur Sanders did this? Come on, man. It's rookie minicamp. Who cares? And then Shedeur Sanders threw a really nice pass down the sidelines to somebody who was like, he's dropping dimes. All of the other teams are going to regret not taking him. Dude, it's minicamp. I saw so much about Shedeur Sanders this weekend at rookie minicamp. I started to wonder, hey, do they actually, do these minicamp days, do they count as towards their record or something? I mean, people are ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, back to the Steelers rookie minicamp. Couple things I will say. Number one, it looks like Kaleb Johnson is going to be the most impactful rookie that they have on their roster. Period. It looks like that's the case. And I think that's what is one of those things where I don't know if that's true. That'd be great because they need help at running back. But people are really, really fascinated by Kaleb Johnson, and he apparently did really well. The second thing that seems very clear is that Derrick Harmon is probably going to take some time to get to a point where he will help. It's just one of those things that I think that is going to be really important to note. That it is important to remember that it's rookie minicamp. And since it's rookie minicamp, I don't know. I don't think we need to go too far in. But Derrick Harmon, it seems like it's probably going to be a little bit of time before he actually helps. And I think that that's the thing about it. You can also look at it from this standpoint, flip it the other way. You get a chance to see the guys on the field and sort of see who does what and how certain guys move and how certain guys are, their size, their athleticism, their ability to move, all that kind of good stuff. I get it. There are some things about it that it's going to be, in my mind, I look at it and say, it's not meaningless, but it for actual, real, meaningful football reps, we are. Even in OTAs, it's just going to be, one of those things where, what you get out of it is what you get. So I think that's where we're at with it. I really do. I feel like it's important to note that there is. I think it's important to note that there is a lot that can be gained in terms of finally seeing these guys, live and seeing their size and all that other stuff. Someone asked, why do I say Harmon will take some time? I guess sort of some of the guys that covered minicamp this weekend, that's what they sort of said. Their observations are that he might, be a guy who there's a little bit of a learning curve, and maybe by the end of this year or into next year, he'll, grow and, physically mature a little bit more, and then he'll become the guy that they think he is. He'll be a starter. Nobody's saying he's not going to be a starter, Big Mabe. Nobody. There's not a person that's saying he's not going to be a starter. He has to be a starter. It's not about that. It's about his impact. When is he going to arrive as a legitimate impact player? Guys that observed it this weekend, and of course it's rookie minicamp, but they kind of felt like, it's going to take a little time for him. Now, it may be wrong, but it's going to be interesting to see how he does. Ray brings up another point that's always really fun. Omar Khan is satisfied, really, is satisfied with the Steelers wide receiver room. Truth is, yeah, he is. He absolutely is. And since he is, at the end of the day, Big Mabe, again, nobody's saying he's not going to be a starter, moron. Learn what I'm saying. All I said was his impact. You know what I'm saying? Give me a break, will you please? Give me a break. And I'm glad you're the smartest guy in the room, and you know exactly what's going to happen. Anyway, I'm tired of people. God, I'm so tired of some of you people. So insufferable. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, the wide receiver room. Yeah, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. We know it. I think Omar Khan knows it. I think Andy Weidel knows it. I think they all know it. It's not good enough. You would hope that, they'll go add somebody else, but the reality is you don't know if they will or they won't. And who they add is probably going to be very, very similar, to whoever, they have already. There's just not that many guys out there anymore right now available. None. Absolutely none. There's a couple of veterans who are kind of interesting that maybe might help. I just don't know. But I just don't see a lot that are out there that are going to help them. So, how you help your wide receiver room? Well, you go get Aaron Rodgers and you hope that he's fully recovered now that he's fully a year removed from his injury. And what I mean by fully, a year removed from his injury, fully a year removed from the recovery of his injury. It's been a year and a half, 2 years, or whatever it was. It was September of 2023 when it happened. So now you'd think, okay, he's fully recovered from that, fully almost a year recovered from that. You hope that he's really good, and of course he's going to help with whatever the receivers are. Matthew brings up Keenan Allen. I like Keenan Allen a lot. I just don't know how much he's got left in the tank. You know, is he better than Roman Wilson and Russell Woods and Calvin Austin? Yes, he probably is. I just don't know what he has left in the tank. I just don't. By the way, the game's always on at Archie's. Get down to Archie's on Carson Street. Archie's, home of 80-cent wings, Monday through Thursday. Home of the Paul Zeise grilled cheese sandwich. So get down to Archie's. Say hello to Archie, will you? And tell him that I sent you when you get down there. Switching gears, the Pirates got Paul Skeens on the mound tonight. They also won 2 of 3 from the Braves this weekend. Now, the Braves aren't any good, and they were at home, and they're coming off a 6-game losing streak, but the reality is they did manage to win 2 out of 3. They didn't score a ton of runs this weekend, but they pitched well, and that's going to be sort of what happens. You know, if they're going to be able to get back into this a little bit, they've got to pitch well. And they did this weekend. It wasn't just their starters, their relievers as well. They did blow a 3-0 lead yesterday, but they recovered the win. And that is going to be interesting. That is going to be really, really, really interesting to see if they can continue to pitch the way they did. Now, the last two times that Skeens has pitched, they've lost the game. They got to win when he pitches. They have to win the games that he pitches. If they're going to have any chance to be anywhere close to respectable this year, if he is pitching, they have to win the game. They got to score at least 1 or 2 runs. Hope he is who he is. Hope he's able to do what he does. And if he is or he does, then all of a sudden, guess what? You win, he's probably got about maybe 18 starts left, something like that. If you can win the majority of those, put yourself in a great position, because then you only have to win a couple of games from each of your other starters, and you have a shot maybe to be closer to 500 than they are right now. They're in New York against the Mets. I think it's a series that they have an opportunity, given the pitching matchups. They're going to have an opportunity to try and win. But the problem they have and what they need to do in order to have credibility is they need to start stacking wins. They've won 2 out of 3. Now let's see if they can go and win, 2 out of 3 here. That's 4 out of 6. 2 series wins in a row. All of those good things. That's what they need to do. They need to keep doing that a little bit at a time. Stack one on top of each other, stack another one, stack another one, stack another one, and go win. See what happens. But that is where I say, if you look at it, that's all they can possibly do is stack wins and try and get better. But they've got to win tonight, and they've got to win every night that Paul Skeens is on the mound. If they don't, you know what, then they're wasting opportunities. And I don't know that they're good enough to overcome wasted opportunities. Skeens is going to go out and he'll throw a great game. There's no question about it. I mean, even his bad starts are really good. So he's going to give them a chance to win, but they have to make sure that they maximize everything and go out and win. People have asked me about Ben Cherington. I think Ben Cherington will be fired at the end of the year, unless there's a miraculous turnaround. I think it makes sense to hold on to him for a little bit longer, especially with the draft coming up and everything else. Just let him do his business. And then maybe in, early August, early September, then you think about, okay, now it's time to move on from him. Because if we move on from him, it gives us a month or 2 or a month and a half before the end of the season. We can hire somebody so when the offseason begins, we're ready to hit the ground running. Thanks for listening. We'll do it again tomorrow. As always, enjoy your night.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.